right, let's play some more Blitz here. We've got an opponent above 2200 here from Austria. And let's see if we get a system opening here, or if he goes back to a Queen's Gambit with pawn to c4. Okay, we're going to get a London system. And I like this setup with an early c5 and Queen b6 in some cases. We'll see if they just go with the standard e3, c3. I know a lot of players these days are kind of accelerating knight b to d2 here, trying to take some of the sting out of this Queen b6 idea. But definitely e3, c3 is kind of the standard way to play this for white. e3, knight c6, c3, queen b6, and then you can play queen b3. So we'll see if white wants to go for this. Okay, this is one of the main lines. Now you can play queen b3 or queen c1. Queen c2 might run into a problem with bishop f5. That's a good idea to know in this line. Because, of course, if the queen takes, there could be a problem here with the b2 pawn. But you have to be careful, because I know there's an in-between move with d takes c5. Okay, knight a3, I have never seen this. So I am on my own here as early as move 6. So what's going on here? So if I take on b2, again, you always have to ask for your opponent's idea. I think they're going to play knight b5, trying to fork us here on c7. But even if I have to spend a move here to play something like a6, usually you don't want to play a move like that in the opening, but here I think it's worth it because it makes this knight look really dumb on a3. At least that's my gut feeling here. I'm just going to play a6 and try to point out this knight here doesn't belong on a3. Maybe you could try to take here on c5, but I feel like my queen's actually okay there on c5. You don't have any easy way to harass it as far as I can see. Ooh, and now you play queen b3. Okay, that's the idea. That's interesting. The point being, now I can't just recapture after c4, huh? Oh, and if I take, then you can play knight b5 still, because you have a pin here on the a file. Okay, this is an interesting idea for white. I've never seen this before. So if I trade queens, you take, I have to worry about knight b5, don't I? I don't really see a great way to deal with it. If I retreat the queen, there you probably just take on c5 now, so that's pretty annoying. I think I have to trade queens, and now how do I stop knight b5? I might play here knight h5. I think you can still play knight b5, though, and if I take your bishop, you play knight c7 check, king d7, you take the rook in the corner, and it's not trapped, because b6 is free. Huh, I feel like I fell for an opening trap. So what to do? Surely the game can't be over here. Man. I'd hate to play rook a7, but maybe you just play rook a7 to stop knight b5. At least the rook's defended there. And there's no bishop b8 yet. So let's go for this. If you take on c5, then maybe knight h5 there? Followed by trying to play e5? Knight h5, your bishop can come to c7, can't it? So I really don't love playing this either. If I play e6, you just play b4. What if I free my bishop? I just have to play, I have to get my pieces into the game. But I think I fell for an opening trap, sadly. I'd like to play e5 and get the pawn back. If black allows that, I think I'm fine. Or sorry, if white allows that, but yeah, they're not going to allow it. Knight d4. If I take, I just straighten out the pawns. That's kind of out of question. Probably just e6 here, but now you just play b4. So I think I'm going to stay down a pawn. I'd like to eventually get e5 in and get some play going for myself, maybe with knight d7? But probably I want to get castled first, is at least my initial thought. Still have a minute on the clock. We do have this 2-second increment to avoid any crazy time scrambles at the end. And I'm kind of curious what white's thinking about, because b4 seems pretty natural to me. Maybe they're thinking about just taking on c6, just trying to weaken the a6 pawn. That makes sense too. But okay, bishop b7, we just have to go with it and hope we can defend this miserable position. Okay, do we get castled, or does king d7 make any sense? King d7, it takes away knight d7 though. I think we just castle. Yeah, and I'm worried about this very weak a6 pawn. I'd like to play a5. Maybe we can play rook a8 and then a5? I'm not sure if you can stop us or not. You're still not castled. So maybe we just play for a5. You can't pin us or anything. You're not ready to double quick enough. But certainly this is still very bad for black. Taking doesn't really accomplish anything. It just straightens out your pawns a little bit. I'm thinking maybe knight d7 next. Okay, alright. So some rooks come off. I guess rook a1 is the idea. Okay, or just b4 straight away. Let's keep the rook active, but I think you're just going to play rook a1. And I also have to worry about this pawn being weak too, with like knight d4 or something. But at least the knight's kind of far away now. I'd like to play for e5, but I'm kind of worried about ideas like this. Maybe bishop d8 can guard it? And then we'd give you a passed pawn, but at least it splits up the pawns. Okay, white has no interest in allowing that. And it's pretty hard to see how we can defend this c6 pawn, honestly. Knight b3, knight a5 is pretty strong. I kind of just want to go for kingside play, but there's no major pieces on the board. There's not going to be any attacks. It's all about the weak pawns. Probably just lost for me. Yeah, we can't stop knight a5. Let's play f5. Oh, it's not even safe. Yeah, the game's just over. There's nothing to do. Yeah, wow. So I just fell for an opening trap. Let's actually check that out. So knight a3, huh? Knight a3, and I know the computer is gonna like glitch us out here and show us a bunch of stuff. So let's click self-analysis. Wait for the computer to do that to us. Should be any second now. Maybe it won't. Okay, so knight a3. Has this been played before? Very rarely. Okay, it is it's white's 5th most popular move here. I knew about all these other moves. I've never seen knight a3. It's only been played 19 times. And I'm curious how black usually responds to it. Okay, c4. Yeah, c4 was the other move I was considering because it makes a lot of sense there too. Just stopping knight b5 and maintaining your threat here to b2 and stopping queen c4. So that's kind of my opening takeaway here from this game. And that's what you can do when you have this kind of foundation built up in your openings. When you see a new move, it's very easy to kind of add it in as another variation to know. Definitely, I'm not going to be surprised in the future if anyone tries knight a3 again. I think c4 makes a lot of sense. Looks like white's never won a game when black played c4. So I guess when white plays this, they know the knight's bad here on the rim. They're just hoping I fall for this kind of opening trap. Because now after queen b3, I'm not sure how to respond to this. There's not really a great answer here, is there? Queen c7 can't be played. If I play, maybe queen a5. Maybe queen a5 is a better answer here. Maybe taking on b3 is just a total overreaction by me. I saw the knight b5 idea. I knew this was bad, so why'd I go for it? I guess I just thought if I play like queen d8, I thought there you just maybe even just take on c5. But I guess now your queen's blocking the b pawn. Maybe I could go for this. I was just worried you have ideas like queen b6 now. The pawn doesn't belong on a6 in this case. But if I play e6... I guess how do you defend the pawn? I thought just like queen b6 maybe, but now I probably just take and then play bishop c5. I think I can get my pawn back. So maybe even here, black has some good options here. I think just taking on b3 was kind of a panicked overreaction. And now in this position, I feel like black does have to be worse because knight b5 is very hard to stop. Maybe rook a7 is also kind of a big overreaction. What about just... well, I was going to say maybe knight a7, but that looks pretty ugly too. You just take on c5, right? Or what about just developing so I don't have to worry about knight c7? Like, what if I just move the bishop out of the way? You can play knight b5, but here, I don't know, king d7 or something. It's probably not the end of the world. And I think black can survive here. So I think I just kind of panicked there in the opening. Kind of a good lesson on what not to do when you face an opening you're not familiar with. Of course, in Blitz, it's a bit different because you can't thoroughly examine, all the checks, captures, threats, all your candidate moves. But I saw how strong this idea was for white to just, open up the A file, play knight b5. Just my reaction was kind of panicked there. I didn't realize I could just play kind of normally, play the queen back to d8, play bishop g4, and I think you can survive. But definitely after rook a7 takes, this has to be pretty bad for us now. It's hard to imagine black being okay here because you can defend your extra pawn so easily. We really have nothing for it. And I think white's already winning here as early as move 11. But glad I played the game. I definitely won't be won't be making this mistake again if someone springs this knight a3 idea on me. And by the way, I like this system against the London. A lot of players get frustrated against the London, really not knowing how to combat it. I think it's impossible to tear down. But I like the system with the early c5, and if white plays e3 and c3, you can play queen b6 to create the first threat here to b2. And if queen b3, that's the main move, now you can play c4. And if the queen moves away, then there I think you even have bishop f5. Kind of a nice point. They can't take because of b2. And if they trade, now you just play for b5, b4, and you have the open a file. And you get rid of your double pawns that way. Good idea to keep in mind there. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. Please make sure you visit chesspathways.com and get signed up there. It's totally free, only takes 5 seconds, and I will send you a free move-by-move guide to chess thinking when you sign up. It took me way too long to become a chess master, and I want to help you do it in a fraction of the time. Thanks, and I will see you there.